Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, karibu sana, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you again for joining me today. So today I wanted to talk about the stages of culture shock. Let's get right into it. Welcome to this video. So today I wanted to talk about the stages of culture shock, and if you're planning to move abroad, or if you've hear any stories from people who are living abroad in whichever country, culture shock is something that gets talked about a lot. So I've personally experienced culture shock firsthand, and when I first moved to England in 2019, I was so depressed, and so I became curious and started thinking, like, what is this? What exactly is culture shock, and how do you navigate culture shock? So in trying to find a solution, I started Googling, researching what books I can read about the same, and I came across this very nice book. It's called A Great Move, and in this book is the first time I came across something called the stages of cross-cultural adaptation, or the stages of cross-cultural adjustment. So it means, like, when you move from one place to another, you're going to go through a bit of should I call it the culture shock itself. Like, it has stages, the same way we know the stages of grief. It's more or less the same thing. So the stages of cross-cultural adaptation, and I've done an infograph on this. So we have 4 stages. The first one is honeymoon, and then culture shock itself. Then you have recovery, and then you have adjustment. So these are 4 stages. So the honeymoon stage is the first stage of, yay, I finally made it to come to this country, or whichever place you're going. There's that first step of, I've succeeded, I've worked hard, I've done all these things, I'm here now. So you're going to experience this, you know, from the time you get your visa, the time you're traveling, the time you get in the country, you know, that first day at the airport, you're seeing all these nice things, and you're just patting yourself in the back and telling yourself, look, we are here now, I've made it, mama, I've made it. So just like grief, these stages, there is no clear timelines for them. Everybody has their own timeline, their own unique timeline. So for some people, you spend a lot of time on the honeymoon phase, and honestly, for me, the honeymoon phase did not last long, because the second night I was so cold, I was freezing, and that's when it hit me, oh my god, what have I just gotten myself into? So for me, my honeymoon phase did not last very long. And then now you get into the culture shock. Now this is the worst place, and guys, if I say you can't understand culture shock until you are in it, just believe me, because when I came in 2019, most of my friends were still back in Kenya. So I would tell them how depressed I am, how I'm struggling, and they would not believe. Like, if you try express it to someone who is not there with you, they'll start to think, oh, you're exaggerating, or you don't want us to come where you are, or you're just trying to downplay it. But trust you me, guys, until you go through it, you can't understand the extent of it. And it's just like, it's a mixture of everything. You can't really pinpoint what's going on, but from the weather, the food, adjusting to the system, everything is automated. The order, you know, like, I remember I would go to the train station or the bus station, and I just see people tapping their cards. Before I got to figure out, what is this card they're tapping, how are they tapping it, why are they tapping it? All these things are just on you. You're trying to figure out the food. Like, if you go to the supermarket, there's a huge selection. Like milk, you get you know, there's blue, green, and red. So the blue is whole fat, then there's semi-skimmed, then there's fully skimmed, which is the red milk, and then now you get lactose-free milk, and now you're getting almond and coconut and all these things, and you don't know what is what. So all these factors bring together culture shock. And if you go to work now, that's the worst bit of it, because the system is so different, how people are communicating with patients, how you're expected to carry yourself at work, the uniform, everything is so different. So all these things compound culture shock. And again, how long you stay in this phase is totally individualized. Then now you get to recovery, where now you've started figuring out a few things here and there. You've started making adjustments. You've identified things you can buy. You've identified things you like. So you've started making an adjustment. For example, you've opened your bank account. You've started getting used to the work, and all these things are happening. Then you come to adjustment, which is now you've created your life in your new environment. You've moved out of the hospital environment. You've created a few friends here and there, and you can find a few moments of joy while in the new place. Here is the tricky part. Once you get to adjustment, you can still go back to the first step again. So it doesn't mean that once you get to adjustment, you've gotten there. Whoever said east or west home is best, that person knew what they were saying. There is no place like home. There will never be a place like home. So there are moments you come across a new experience or somebody who takes you back to culture shock, and then you start again. So these things are it's a continuous ongoing cycle. You go back to culture shock, recovery, adjustment, maybe you start a new job and you're back to culture shock, like that. So the main reason of making this video is just to let you know that if you're stuck in culture shock, you'll get to recovery, you'll get to adjustment. Again, I've seen people who've come and through they're in honeymoon. They've not experienced culture shock at any point. So these things are just individualized, but the whole goal of making the video was to let you know that it's an ongoing process. So if you're feeling like you're so super stressed and there's no one to talk to, because if you tell people back home that this is what you're experiencing, they'll say, oh, you're complaining, God has blessed you, you shouldn't be complaining, you're lucky, and all these things that really don't make sense to you. So I just wanted to let you know that the process of cross-cultural adjustment is a continuous ongoing process. So you start with honeymoon, culture shock, recovery, and adjustment, and the cycle repeats. So guys, I've written about this as well on my blog. So if you've not read my blogs, or if you're not aware about my blog, it's on www.worldclassnurse.com under blogs, and you can read more about cultural adjustment, because this is one of the things that I talk about. And again, if you've not followed me on social media platforms, please follow me on my Facebook page and Instagram page as World Class Nurse, and please like, share, and subscribe. That's it from me today. Bye guys.